So let's get into some of those picks for this week. Oh, I figure you put the records up there.
I'd already said enough. I was just going to blow past it, but you said record, so I figured we'd go back to it. So there you go. Just
You
pointing it
already
out.
stole my thunder. I was going to get you a UNLV hat, but you go ahead and self-deprecating humor. You just you cut me off. I didn't get a chance to rub it in at all because you just took care of that.
Yeah, as a Vanderbilt fan, you learn. You get so accustomed to it, you know. You already know how to deal with it from the past.
Well, our first game up for picks, and you'll notice there's a gold star by one of the team's logos. That's the favored team in this contest. Oklahoma is traveling to Cincinnati to play the Bearcats. Darren, I was a little intrigued about this game until Cincinnati lost to Miami of Ohio.
Exactly.
I think Oklahoma is just going to run them off the field.
I agree completely. I've already said everything I think about Oklahoma, and it's sure not going to change how I feel about this game. This is definitely an Oklahoma win. Would be a great opportunity for them to make it an emphatic win because it's from a scheduling perspective. It is a Power 5 versus Power 5, so that could look good, as you get toward the end of the season. But even if it's not an emphatic win, it's definitely an Oklahoma win.
Mm-hmm. Next, we have Auburn traveling to College Station to face the favored A&M Aggies, coming off of a big win against UL Monroe, but nevertheless a big win.
A big win.
Auburn is showing signs of life under new coach Hugh Freeze. When you look at this matchup, Darren, who do you pick?
I still am not buying what A&M is selling. I think we gave them a whole lot of preseason hype that may or may not come to be. There's going to be some tough games that come down the road. But I also think you have to be realistic if you're an Auburn fan about where they are and what you're coming out of. I mean, you're still not even a year removed from as the Harsin turns and all of that turmoil, even with roster turnover. So I think this is going to ultimately end up being too much for Hugh Freeze and Auburn. And honestly, even though A&M's defense has not done what you expect it to, man, their offense has. And I think the offense will be, even if it gets into a shootout, I think Bobby Petrino with the horses, with the dudes that A&M has, can come out on the high end of a shootout with Hugh Freeze and his offense where their talent level is right now. So I think this is an A&M win.
College Station is a tough place to play.
Absolutely.
I think Bobby Petrino is doing a very good job with the offense. We'll see what Hugh Freeze has up his sleeve to test that A&M secondary, which has been so much suspect as Miami exposed. I think that somehow Hugh Freeze is going to come up with some sort of game plan that's going to enable the Tigers to squeak out of College Station with a victory.
That would be you talking about coming out with a bang. Your first time in Kyle Field as the Auburn head coach to come out with a win. Whew, that's going to be nice if you're Hugh Freeze.
The favored Kentucky Wildcats are traveling to Nashville to play Darren's beloved Vanderbilt Commodores. Will the Crane be holding up the scoreboard this game as well?
Probably, but it'll probably fall halfway through the second quarter or something. That'll be in the construction zone.
Or have the people funding the construction all withdrawn their support.
It'll be a big black curtain that's hanging up where the scoreboard used to be.
Darren, I'm going to go with Kentucky on this one.
Yeah, I think it's as simple as Vanderbilt stinks, Kentucky wins. There you go. That's
a big time matchup Saturday. Ole Miss is traveling to Tuscaloosa to face the 13th ranked Alabama Crimson Tide out of the top 10, which is unusual territory for Alabama. What do you think? Is this a toss up, or do you think Alabama rebounds?
I think it definitely has a toss-up feel to it. And to me, I think it would be there would be absolutely no question if Ole Miss's line was playing a little bit stronger, because Judkins has kind of been MIA a little bit in these first few games. He's about half the production that he was this time last year, same time last year. That being said, Jackson Dart has been throwing darts. He has looked impressive. Unless there is an injury that's not being made known, I think it is prime for a Judkins kind of breakout game for Dart to show the command of the offense that he has. And I think turmoil right now is within the Alabama program, as hard as that is to say from the top down, or hard as that is to believe. And I think it shows up this week as well. They'll obviously look some better, but I don't know that they're going to look adjusted as everybody thinks they're going to. I think Ole Miss pulls off the upset here and goes into Tuscaloosa and pulls off a win. What do you think?
Wow. It's a tough pick. Kiffin is beginning to get a reputation as not being able to win the big games.
Yeah.
And now you got Alabama team that appears to be somewhat down, which typically in the past in these moments, Saban has been his best.
That's true.
Now, does he have the players this year who will respond to that like he has in the past? I think Jalen Milroe will make a huge difference. Gosh, I don't know. You know what, Darren? I'm gonna stick with Saban on this one. I think Alabama pulls out a big win at home.
If Lane Kiffin can avoid saying things like "get the popcorn ready," I think I'm going to be right on this.
Well, he's already poked the bear again this year by insinuating that Kevin Steele is not making the defensive calls.
Yeah, exactly. Well, if there's one thing, when he runs his mouth, it is fun, but sometimes you would hope he would learn to just, no, I'm good, but he still hasn't yet. So
the Roadrunners from UTSA are traveling to Knoxville to face the 23rd Tennessee Volunteers, coming off of a pretty hard loss in Gainesville against the Florida Gators. Darren, do you think Tennessee bounces back?
Oh, I think they definitely do. Matter of fact, I think this has a potential to be a really definitive kind of turning moment for them. Because I tell you, as much as I've talked about Joe Milton, I think if you really watch that game against Florida with open eyes, even though there were some accuracy issues, Joe Milton was not the problem. The majority of the things that were the problem are things that can be taught and corrected or schemed and corrected. I think even though Heupel in his third year at UCF did have a little bit of a drop off, people are talking about that this year. Is the same thing going to happen? I don't think this is going to be the case. I think this has the opportunity to be a real a strong win and a turning point for the Tennessee season. And maybe Joe Milton gets his feet under him even a little bit more, shows a little bit more confidence, and really has a big game. But either way, it's a Tennessee win.
Tennessee win. The third-ranked Texas Longhorns are traveling to Waco to face the disappointing Baylor Bears. Dave Aranda, a great defensive mind. Is he going to be able to come up with a plan to stop the Longhorns, who struggled a little bit against Wyoming before pulling it all together and pulling away in the fourth quarter? Darren, is this I think Texas is going to win this, and it shouldn't even be close.
No, they should absolutely destroy them. I think the Wyoming issues were strictly big game win hangover, and that'll be gone. That's taken care of. They worked that out. Unfortunately, for our favorite football ninja, I don't think he's going to sneak up on Texas at all, and it's going to get ugly. This is going to be a big Texas win.
And that takes us to the Arkansas Razorbacks, who last week dropped a home game against BYU from the Big 12. They will be traveling down to Baton Rouge to face the LSU Tigers, ranked 12th in the country. Darren, who you got in this one?
This has to be LSU. When their offense is clicking the way they are, and Arkansas, we love Sam Pittman. Arkansas could still have a very nice year. Not the year they were hoping for, possibly not. I don't know that Dan Enos is the answer at offensive coordinator that they thought he was going to be. But this is going to LSU's offense is just going to be too much for Arkansas. This is going to be a nice LSU win. What do you think?
Last year, Harold Perkins was the difference in a very close game.
Mm-hmm.
LSU and Arkansas tend to play close games. If LSU plays like they did against Starkville, this should not be a close game, but you never know.
Absolutely.
There's some folks that told me at church Sunday, they're Arkansas fans. They're like, we don't know if we're going to come to church next week. And I said, don't worry, I won't say anything. But if you don't come to church, I'm going to say a whole lot. If LSU wins. Now, that's a big if, because you never know. That's why we play the game, and they could be giving me the what for next week. But I'm going to go with the Tigers winning at home.
Yeah, I don't think Brian Kelly will miss the opportunity to remind them of what happened last year and how they can correct it in their home stadium this year. I think that'll be a point of emphasis.
And there's a big difference between how Brian Kelly prepares the team and how Coach O did, frankly.
Just a little bit.
The Memphis Tigers are traveling to Missouri to face the 3-0 Missouri Tigers, led by Eli Drinkwitz.
Nicely done. Nicely done.
I'm going to go with Missouri on this one. They're going 4-0, baby.
They are. I feel that very confidently, but I got to tell you, this feels like, if you look at the last couple of years, this looks like one of those moments where on Saturday night you're sitting there going, what in the world happened? How did they lose this game? So that scares me a little bit if I'm a Missouri fan. But I agree with you. They're 4-0 and are continuing in a path that looks like they could be putting together a really nice season.
Is that kind of lack of belief, Darren, that was partially responsible for the destruction of the Jedi Order?
Well, if there's one thing we know, it's Coach Drinkwitz will not let that kind of disbelief come in.
Mississippi State, coming off of a disappointing loss at home to LSU, is traveling to South Carolina to face the South Carolina Gamecocks. That they really played Georgia tough last week before Georgia had a late score, put a little distance between them. I want to get behind Shane Beamer. I think he's doing a good job. South Carolina's just all over the place. They have a quarterback that at one point was in the discussion to win a Heisman. They should win this game against Mississippi State. But on the other hand, if Mississippi State can figure out, I think they may be second guessing their drastic change in offensive philosophies from last year to this year, because you've got an outstanding quarterback in Will Rogers, and he does not look like the quarterback last year. Yep. And they've got to figure this out because he's got the talent, but I don't know if they're going to get it together for this game. I think I'm going to go with the home team, South Carolina.
Yeah, I agree. I think the fact that it's at home and the fact that, you can't trust Mississippi State's offense to do anything right now. And it's even starting to affect their defense some because everything is so unpredictable on offense. And, you get turnovers and short fields and it starts to wear down a defense. Even though I'm not sold in any form on South Carolina, I think they win this game. I think they take out Mississippi State.